Ready for the fourth?
Yeah.
Ready to move?
There you go.
So you want.
Sunrise, I have it.
Yeah.
That's new contract? New? Finish. I know.
Hey, see.
He's got one, it just said it wrong.
Hey,
I'm
hey,
saying,
he got his picture
dressed
on
up.
Hey, man, you got your picture on your building. So.
What? I mean,
Hey, whoever did it, they gonna take you. They got you down.
I was like, I got better distinction.
I look at my future there on Facebook. Understand it.
Okay.
This is nine. I bet they're on 21 now. You know, the worst part about it is that you gotta figure out.
What?
I mean, everything doesn't always transfer, right?
Which one for lunch?
I'm thinking about that one too.
Thank
you.
How are you? How's everyone today?
Oh, good.
Molly's working, y'all got another day.
Sure.
You, that's it,
Yes, ma'am.
I told them they go with the same color, but those sides. He said it's not enough.
Appreciate Good afternoon, everybody. We're just waiting for the bells to stop. Oh, no. The website, so is recording to YouTube, so you can still share it. Yeah, it's just not streaming live on the website.
Oh, is this good?
The revise as a message that popped up of revise. And Madam Attorney, can you hear us?
Yeah, I hear you.
All right, I see Councilman Palmer over here. Can you hear us, Councilman?
Yes.
Perfect. Extended bell, isn't it?
Oh,
Hey, Pastor, we're about ready to get started here, so just give me a second and we'll get right to you. I appreciate you. Thank you.
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Today is July 3rd, 2025. Today is Thursday. This is a called meeting. This meeting was called by the District 1 delegation, which includes Mayor Pro Tem Burley, Councilman Morgan, and Councilman Maples. We have a quorum here in the building, so Councilman Palmer is actually able to join us via Zoom link. This is the first time that Councilman Palmer has called in. So again, everybody's allowed 2 free ones, if you will, if you're out of the jurisdiction. So Councilman Palmer is good to go, and we'll go ahead and start with the rest of the meeting. And at this time, I turn to our city manager and city clerk to report. Call roll, please.
Councilmember Green. Here. Councilman Garland.
Here.
Councilman Morgan.
Here.
Councilman Collins.
Here.
Councilman Maples.
Here.
Councilman Palmer.
All right, thank you, everybody. At this time, I'd like to turn to Pastor Joe Thomas, Dr. Joe Thomas, to lead us in prayer, please.
Let us pray. A verse of scripture from Psalm 46:1. God is our refuge and our strength, a very present help in trouble. Eternal God, our Father, we thank you for being our Lord and being our God. We thank you, Father, for this great city that you blessed us with and to live in. We thank you for all of those that have given of themselves for service. We pray now that you will bless this meeting. Everything that's done and said may bring glory and honor to your name. In Christ's name I pray. Amen.
Amen. All right. Pastor, thank you so much, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you. God bless.
Yes, sir.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you, everybody. All right. Council, at this time, is there a motion to approve the agenda for today? Motion to approve. Second. Motion is properly second. Any discussion? All right. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. All right. Councilman Palmer, agenda approval.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, sir. All right. Do we have any speaker appearances? Any speaker appearances? I will say that we do have 2 awesome youth council candidates spending part of their summer at a called council meeting. So kudos to you for that, gentlemen. So hearing none as it relates to speaker appearances, we will move on to our first agenda item, which is the Downtown Camilla Development Authority transfer A.A. McNeil building to the city of Camilla. So, council, just to remind you, the A.A. McNeil building, 2/3 of that building, if you can imagine, that building was divided into 3 parcels. The city of Camilla owns 2/3 of it. The Downtown Camilla Development Authority owns the other 1/3. The USDA has been renting that building for years. We just renewed the contract for another 5 years. But in this contract, they asked for some tenant improvements. And per the contract, they call them TIs, if you will. So in those tenant improvements, they wanted better access, control to the building, certain situations dealing with the server, I believe carpet was involved, and some other aesthetic and operational needs. In return for those improvements, which was estimated at about $120,000, they would pay us an increased monthly lease payment to pay it back. So the USDA would actually pay for the improvements, but over the life of the lease. Well, when we finished the tenant improvements, there was a question from the USDA regarding the access point, the front door specifically. And in those discussions, it was realized, if you will, that the city does not have any authority to do any tenant improvements, if you will, to that third of the building that belongs to the Downtown Development Authority. So we released that, including a part of that building that we did not have an intergovernmental agreement with the Downtown Development Authority, Downtown Criminal Development Authority, nor had the Downtown Criminal Authority conveyed that property to us. So in order for us to continue, as it relates to the tenant improvements, we have to rectify that. And there are two basic ways to do that. The first is that we can enter into an IGA with the Downtown Criminal Development Authority to manage that part of the building. I don't think that's advantageous for the city. We don't really have the time or resources to be a landlord, if you will, for a separate agency. But that's my opinion. And the second option would be to have the Downtown Criminal Development Authority convey that third of the building to the city, which I believe would be a bit more cleaner, so as to move forward. Another reason why I'm recommending the latter is because that's how it's been probably for the last 10 or 15 years, if not longer. We do not transfer any of that rent to the Downtown Criminal Development Authority at all. And they haven't asked for any, and obviously that relationship has been pretty good for the last couple of decades. So it seems prudent if we're collecting the rent, if we're providing the resources for the tenants, it seems practical just to go ahead and convey that third to us. Now, Councilman Palmer also is the chairman of the Downtown Criminal Development Authority. And one of the things that we discussed a few months ago was that the city attorney, our city attorney, the city attorney would draft a document and he would present that to his board and his, the Downtown Criminal Development Authority attorney for their consideration in conveying the property to us. Today, the ask council is to, for you to authorize the mayor or mayor pro tem to sign all documents facilitating that transfer, if contingent upon the Downtown Development Authority conveying that property. So that's the background. But let me yield to Councilman Palmer just to see if he had any thoughts related to that. Councilman Palmer.
The Development Authority will, entertain that, as I said in the past. Once the document's presented to us, we will have a meeting and discuss it and proceed forward.
Okay, fair enough. All right, so council at this time, and thank you for that, Councilman Palmer. So council at this time, is there a motion to authorize the mayor or mayor pro tem to sign all documents related to the conveyance? Yes, ma'am.
I just had a question.
Sure.
Mr. Palmer, before we
Absolutely.
go
Go ahead.
into
Yes, ma'am.
that
Yes, ma'am.
phase. Mr. Palmer, would the Development Authority object to the repairs being done on the building? Is there a problem? Because I'm sure in the many years that the lease has been there, repairs have been done before. And I don't understand why this particular one is any different. And is there something that, that the Downtown Development Authority could just agree to the repairs instead of going through the transfer?
There have been numerous repairs and maintenance and so forth and so on over the last 25 years, however long that building's been there, close to 30. We have no problem working with the city on that. That has never been a problem. It's always been managed by the city. That was what they preferred to do. We don't need two managers, you need one manager. So that, we would not have a problem continuing that arrangement if that's where we go.
So that's happened, or how it's been done in the past. What is the need now to convey the property from the original plans, which were to have a third and 2/3?
There would be no need.
All right.
I'm just asking.
Yeah, actually, and so as I said during the background, there is one big difference. The city just spent $120,000 as part of the contract with the USDA. The USDA is now on the hook to repay us that $120,000.
Correct.
But we do not legally have the authority, the city doesn't, to charge the USDA anything, because we don't have no written permission from the Downtown Camilla Development Authority to do that.
So why not just ask for the written permission from the authority?
That's what we'll do.
Okay, but you're not, but it says conveyed property, basically it sounds like you're taking it away from them.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, so if you,
I'm just,
absolutely.
asking an explanation.
So what I said at the beginning,
Right.
we have two options. The
And
first,
so my
if
question.
you allow me to finish.
So,
At the beginning of the start of this conversation, I said there are two options. The first would be for us to manage that portion of it, which I said, in my opinion, would not be advantageous for the city to be the landlord for the CDA. Once the motion is made today, any council member, as I've said a few times, can easily do a substitute motion to do it different.
okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
yes,
I
yeah,
appreciate it.
yes, ma'am. All right. Any other questions?
Well, I think we ought to get an IGA and just do it. We've been managing it for 25 years. What's the problem?
Okay, again, this is the first time we've actually entered into a contract with the USDA to say, we're gonna improve this building. This isn't replacing toilet paper or changing the light bulb. We actually did construction down there. We actually improved the technology down there. What the USDA said was, we will repay you for that. We will reimburse you for that. That has never happened before in the last 20 years. That's the issue. And for the government side of the house, they technically are in a contract with the city of Camilla that legally they can't be in, because we just leased them something that we don't own. So that has to be cleaned up before we move forward.
Well, an IGA would clean it up, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Again, every single person sitting around these days has the ability to make a motion. Yeah, so it's the motion on the table, once I ask, will be to convey, to accept the property and authorize the mayor and mayor pro tem to sign the facilitating documents. If there's a substitute motion to do an IGA instead, folks are more than welcome to do that. It's all good. All right. So, all right, any other questions or discussions prior to the question?
I just add.
Yes, sir, please.
Some potential clarity. Is it safe to say, for extra context, that the CDA has just kind of failed to invest in this property over the years in that substantial way?
It would probably be fairer to say that this is the first time that the USDA asks for tenant improvements to this level of specific detail. We want buzzers, or we want a panic button if there's an issue inside. We want a camera so we can see who's coming in. They've never asked for that kind of stuff before.
Have the improvements already been done?
Yes. Oh, well, yes. For the most part.
So now we're just trying to get paid.
To get them to pay for it, generically, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir, Mr. Murphy.
Okay, listening to everything, did the USDA, did they go through CDA to try to get this, get this done? Or?
Now, look at it.
I mean, since we've been, repairing things for over the past 25 years, that right there should have been a conversation with that authority versus having a conversation with us.
And therein lies the conundrum. Because no one prior to now pointed that out to them. The contract that we just entered just went in effect last year. So that was the first time that, and they may have been going month to month or whatever the case may be. But last year was when we entered into a new one, which gave myself, the city manager, an opportunity to dig a little deeper into what it is that we're doing. And we discovered that a third of that building obviously belongs to Downtown Camilla Development Authority. Now, to the point that you made, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, the USDA could separately enter into an agreement with the Downtown Camilla Development Authority and collect that rent. They can do that on their own, and they'll manage that part of the building. I'm not sure that's something that the USDA wants. But because for the last couple of decades, no one noticed this, once again, it's this council that has to correct it. So it is what it is now. We have to clean that up. The United States government cannot enter into a contract with folks that don't own the property that they're leasing. So the cleaner way, and to your point, Councilmember Marine, and to Councilman Palmer's point, there has never ever been an issue. So why not just convey the property to the city? So that we can continue to keep doing what we've been doing, unless there's a plan for that third of the building. And if so, I have absolutely no problem related to the USDA to call Councilman Palmer and discuss working out that lease with the Downtown Camilla Development Authority. But I think we need to know, and the Downtown Camilla Development Authority needs to know, what's the city's position. And I would argue item 5 says, convey the property to us so that we can legally collect the money and recoup the improvements that we've already put into it. Yes, sir.
I would just like to ask, Councilman Palmer, which is the chairman of the CDA, Downtown Development Authority. Mr. Palmer, have you, had any contact, or were you aware of all of the changes that was, taking place here since it's been over a year?
I have been, one important item that has not been brought here is that over these 25 more or less years, the Development Authority has never asked for any rent whatsoever, and the city has always collected that and kept that money. So if it's going to be done in a different direction, we're going to have an accounting and see how much the city owes the Development Authority.
So what I would argue is this, and I think the councilman brings up a good point and amplifies my point. The city has always collected that rent. The CDA has never asked for it. So at this particular juncture, there is absolutely, it would make perfect sense to me to convey the property to the city to do what we've been doing for the last 25 years. If the Downtown Camilla Development Authority wants to sue the city of Camilla for whatever they believe the accounting is, I think the first thing we would want to see is the intergovernmental agreement that said that that's what's supposed to happen. I don't think that exists. But the Downtown Camilla Development Authority and its legal representation is more than welcome to visit that. So if that's the position, I'm not sure if Councilman Palmer can make that decision for the board, for the DDA. But if his position is that it's either enter into an IGA and you manage that part of that building for us, or we want the money that you've been collecting for the last whatever years. I mean, he's more than welcome to make that, if that's what he wants to do.
How many payments have been made, or is it about to start?
So I think it went into play, I want to say around about this time last year, August or so, but I don't believe the reimbursements are in there because the USDA, for lack of better words, has to sign off on, that the improvements have been completed. And we have to report that the improvements have been completed. So that's another step in the process.
The rent didn't go up, they're gonna actually repay.
Yes, no, the rent is scheduled to go up once the TA or the TI or the tenant improvements are approved. So again, today's motion is simply, if they want to, the DDA, if they want to convey the property, we will accept it. We can't sign for the DDA, so we're not taking possession of the property today. We're preemptively saying, hey, DDA, the city of Camilla is willing to accept this property from you, which will allow us to communicate to the USDA that, hey, we've communicated to the CDA or the DDA that we will take the property if they want to convey it. That's what today's motion is. Councilman Palmer, in his role as chairman of the DDA, will be responsible for taking that back to his board and saying, the city of Camilla has agreed to accept this third of the building if you allow that. His board will make the decision that they want to do that or not.
I got a question for our
Yes,
attorney.
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me, Ms. Thompson?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hey, I just want to know if this is normal and ordinary way to do it, or would you, to ask for it, or would you just, I mean, it seems like kind of a convoluted way to just ask somebody to execute something that's already in the deed, that they're supposed to do it when we call for it, or what I'm asking is this just normal and ordinary way to exercise taking the other third back? It's already in the deed, right?
So I think you're asking us, and correct me if I'm wrong, whether this action should go forward today, since I guess the DDA has not maybe considered considered conveying the property yet. So I don't know if that's maybe what you're asking.
Well, yeah, it's kind of backwards almost to me.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, ideally, obviously, we can't accept, property that has not been conveyed yet, so that is a definite fact. And, as, the mayor said, you all are essentially just doing it preemptively. You're just, your action today will be the city's way of accepting the building, but it'll be moot, and it won't amount to anything if the downtown Camilla Development Authority does not act. So yeah, ideally, obviously, if someone wants to convey their property, they convey it first, and then another party accepts that conveyance. We're just, like you said, we're doing it backwards, but what the action that the city council takes today won't have any effect until the downtown Camilla Development Authority takes action on their part. So, like you said, even if this motion does pass, it's a very realistic, situation where the downtown Camilla Development Authority might say no, and you'll have to get into some type of agreement with the USDA and the downtown Camilla Development Authority. So it really all rests on what they want to do. And as far as, I don't know if you asked this, but also I want to add that as far as the cleanest way to kind of move forward with this relationship would be, I would recommend that it would be one owner, whether it be the city or the downtown Camilla Development Authority. because, as it's situated right now, it kind of seems as if there's a lot of kind of, knots that have not been straightened out. So I think the cleanest way to move forward with this relationship is under one owner. And again, the alternative would be to enter into some type of agreement where the Downtown Camilla Development Authority states their interest, and they get, and they kind of manage and get payment for their interest, and the city also manages it and gets payment for its interest. So again, there's two ways to do this, but your actions today won't amount to anything until the Downtown Camilla Development Authority moves.
I would like to add a caveat to Councilman Collins' question and to the city attorney's response. And that is, there is a degree of historical knowledge or institutional knowledge that some may not be aware of. So I am an ex officio by our charter, by the statute. I am a member of the DDA, the mayor is, let me put it that way. The mayor of Camilla is a member of the DDA. I can tell you, as I sit here today, the DDA has not met, I would argue, in at least a year. The reason why hence another reason why the URA was created, but that's a whole nother conversation. This preemptive motion, if you will, is designed because of the uncertainty. Nobody knows when the DDA will meet. We know for a fact they haven't met, I would argue, somewhere between the last 8 months and a year. I don't know why that would be, considering the amount of development that needs to happen downtown. That's a whole other, again, a separate conversation. If and when they meet, this motion allows myself or the mayor pro tem to walk into the sheriff's office without having to call another meeting to sign the documents, if they're approved. Now, if they met on a fairly regular basis, this probably wouldn't be necessary. But it is literally hodgepodge on when these folks will meet. It is a shot in the dark. So this is the underlying purpose of the preemptive acceptance contingent upon the transfer of the property. I don't know, we don't know when they will ever meet or will they meet. And it doesn't seem practical to wait another year to see if we need to call a meeting for us to come in to accept the property. Let me ask you the question another way, Madam Attorney. Is it, I'm gonna use the term legal, to accept the property contingent upon the conveyance by the DDA?
I think my response to that is that it won't have any legal effect. So I mean, you can do it, but it doesn't mean anything, if I'm gonna be honest, until they convey the property. So, until it's actually conveyed, that's when the city's acceptance kind of goes into effect. So I hope that part, so we're kind of clear on that. It's not, is it legal? I don't think it even has any legal bearing, honestly. And I know you just made a comment about kind of how long we can let this go on. If we're going to be honest, I don't think the USDA, I don't think the city and or the Downtown Development Authority has a choice at this point. Well, because the USDA they cannot remain in limbo right now with what's going on with the property that they're leasing. So I think that regardless of the board kind of not meeting in so long, it's an action that has to be taken, or especially since the USDA now knows that there are essentially two landlords in the fight with them. I don't think it's an action that can go on in limbo any longer. So I think it's something that has to move forward by action of the Downtown Camilla Development Authority kind of definitely need to make a decision on what they're gonna do in the matter.
Ms. Thompson, may I ask a question, please?
Yeah, no, good, absolutely.
How long would it take for the city attorney to draw up an IGA with the Downtown Development Authority?
Yeah, I mean, that's something that, of course, we do, many times over as we, manage a lot of relationships between cities and authorities. So that's not something that would take, maybe in a week's time or so, I would say.
Okay.
Well,
I just asked because it seems to be the correct order to ask them and then respond, but, I just wanted to know how long approximately it would take to do that. Thank you.
yeah, the only issue there is that the IGA would have to come from the DDA. What you have in your packet was a courtesy, because based on what Councilman Palmer said a couple months ago, was that if we present documents to him, then he would take that to his folks, if you will. So the conveyance language that you have was a courtesy to the DDA, but they have an attorney. So if the DDA wants to convey the property, if they want to do an IGA with us, it would be their responsibility to write that up. And our city attorney will review it and tell us what, if it's good to go or whatever the case may be. So that wouldn't be something that our city attorney would do.
Let me make something perfectly clear here. The development authority meets when we need to meet to take care of business. We can meet 3 times a week if we have business that we need to take care of. So I want that cleared up, that we don't meet, but every 2 or 3 years is baloney.
Okay, yeah, listen, Councilman, without going down the rabbit hole, if you've had a meeting in the last year and the mayor of this city was not asked to be there, I would love to know that. But you're absolutely right. Anytime that you guys want to have a meeting, that is completely up to you. For whatever reason, to your point, sir, apparently over the last year, the Downtown Development Authority, which is partly charged with improving our downtown, has not had a reason to meet over the last year. So I appreciate you pointing that out. But if you have met in the last year, and I don't think I said a couple of years, I said within the last year, you're more than welcome to show me those minutes. And right after that, I'd like to know why the mayor of the city wasn't notified. But we'll come to that bridge if we have to.
All right, so would it be out of order, to make a motion at this time?
For number 5,
Well, okay, then I'll wait for the substitute.
there you go. That's how it works.
All right, thank you.
No, good.
I'm just learning.
No, you're good. You are good. All right. So if you want the substitute motion, just remember, just do it during the discussion phase of the main motion.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Okay. All right. Council, at this time, is there a motion to accept the transfer of the A.A. McNeil building to the city of Camilla, their portion of that building, contingent upon the conveyance of that property or that parcel to the city of Camilla, and authorize the mayor or mayor pro tem to sign all documents facilitating that transfer. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion is properly second. Any discussion?
I would like to make a substitute motion, please, for the city to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with the Downtown Development Authority prior to any conveyance of the property.
Second.
Contingent upon their approval.
Contingent upon their approval of the intergovernmental agreement, or IGA.
Second.
We have a motion, substitute motion that has been made and properly second. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor, can you clarify that motion for me? Are we just to enter into an IGA?
Yeah, so Councilmember Vereen made a substitute motion to the main motion.
Okay.
To, instead of conveying the property, to enter into an IGA with the Downtown Camilla Authority contingent upon them wanting to enter into an intergovernment agreement. So the main motion is on hold right now.
Oh, okay, so you all are gonna vote on, the motion made by Councilman Ray first?
Correct.
And then you'll circle back to the initial motion, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Thompson, we were given two options at the beginning, to convey the property or enter into an IGA, or so there were to ask for the transfer. And so this was the option 2, which was the intergovernmental agreement with the Downtown Development Authority, and contingent upon
The acceptance of the
the
IGA.
acceptance.
But I just want to clear that up. 2 options were not given. The
Two scenarios.
2 scenarios.
Two scenarios,
Yes, ma'am.
excuse me, I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
So this is a second scenario that was presented, and so that is what the motion is regarding, is that, thank you.
I got a question.
Yes.
I heard Downtown Camilla Authority, Development Authority. Is it the CDA or the DDA?
In this context, it's the DDA. Is that right, Councilman Palmer? Councilman Palmer?
Yes.
Okay. Now, there is a CDA, which Councilman Palmer is also the chairman of.
Well, it says CDA here
Yeah,
on file.
yes, sir. They, downtown is in front of it, so it's,
Downtown is in front of what?
so it's Downtown Camilla Development Authority.
Okay.
Yes, sir. All right. Any other discussion on the substitute motion? All right, again, council, substitute motion is for the city to accept an intergovernmental agreement with the Camilla Development, or the Downtown Camilla Development Authority, contingent upon the Downtown Camilla Development Authority wanting to enter into an IGA with us, to basically lease that property for them. All right. Any other discussion? All right, Madam Clerk, do a roll call.
Councilmember Ray,
Yes.
Councilman Barley.
No.
Councilman Morgan.
No.
Councilman Collins,
Yes.
Councilman Maples,
No.
Councilman Palmer,
Yes.
Mayor votes no, motion fails. We're back to the main motion, council members, which is a motion to authorize the mayor and mayor pro tem to sign and all documents facilitating the conveyance of the A. McNeil building to the city contingent upon that conveyance from the Downtown Camilla Development Authority. All right. We already have a motion, we already have a second. Any other discussion? All right, Madam Clerk, do the roll call.
Councilmember Ray,
No.
Councilman Barley,
Yes.
Councilman Morgan,
Yes.
Councilman Collins,
No.
Councilman Maples,
Yes.
Councilman Palmer,
No.
The mayor votes yes, motion carries. All right, thank you, council. And again, as the city attorney pointed out a few times, nothing happens until the Downtown Camilla Authority meets and votes to convey or don't convey. If they vote to convey and they do their thing on their end, all that Cheryl has to do is call myself or the mayor pro tem, and we'll come in and sign the documents, and the rest is history. If that never happens, it never happens. All right, Councilman Palmer, what we'll do is I have Cheryl email you the proposed conveyance. Obviously, your attorney can have a look at it and your board can adjust that any way you like, but we'll go ahead and get that to you today to help facilitate whatever you guys need. All right, thank you, Council. All right, Council, item 6, consideration of MEAC trust transfer. Council, let me share this with you. I see that. So there are nearly $6 million in the MEAC trust as of yesterday. $5.6 million. 4.2 million in the flexible operating account, and 1.3 million or 377,000 or nearly 1.4 million in the restricted account, the generation trust. If you like, I can email this to you. All right. If you look at the resolution that you have in front of you, the suggestion is to transfer $3 million from this account, or a combination of the account. 1 million from the generation trust and 2 million from the flexible operating account. That 1 million from the generation account or the restricted account, that 1 million will be strictly to pay the MEAG power bill every month for the city of Camilla. The other one of the 2 million that's coming out of the flexible account is designed for city operations, strictly city operations, payroll, accounts payable, anything the CFO or the city manager needs to operate the city, $1 million. So $2 million will go to the general fund for use for the city manager and for the CFO. Of that $2 million, $1 million is restricted to MEAG power bill. The other $1 million is day-to-day operations here in the city. The other $1 million would go to the Urban Redevelopment Agency, or the URA, for its operations. And I want to explain that a little bit more so that everybody kind of understand what is happening here. Smaller. Okay. And this is a nice segue to what the previous conversation we just had. So we know unequivocally, or fairly unequivocally, there are 3 organizations or public entities that were created by the city of Camilla to help facilitate economic development in this city. The Downtown Development Authority, which is a constitutional authority, by the way. This was created by the legislature. There's only 3 in the state of Georgia. We're one of them. So we got the DDA has some serious powers. Second is the Camilla Development Authority. And lastly, the Urban Redevelopment Authority, or the URA. The only difference between the 3 of those is that the URA is the only entity that has an IGA with the city of Camilla, an intergovernmental agreement. So the URA is a separate government entity from the city, just like the other 2 are. But as you've heard a mere 10 minutes ago, the DDA hasn't met in at least a year. I would argue a little bit longer than that, but at least a year. I can't tell you the last officio on that board also. The mayor of this city is an ex officio non-voting member of the CDA, the Camilla Development Authority. I know that they haven't met in at least a year. The sole purpose of these organizations is to facilitate the economic development of the city of Camilla. I would argue that the URA has met probably more times in the last 6 months than both of those organizations have met in the last 3 years. Just off the top of my head. That doesn't mean that redevelopment or development is not needed here in the city of Camilla. And we've tried, and in my role as mayor, but also as the chairman of the Urban Redevelopment Agency, 2 separate positions, by the way. There's been a degree of patience to work with the other agencies. But I can't make the CDA or the DDA meet. I can't command anybody to do anything as it relates to that. I'm not the chairman of those boards. But I would have hoped, as it relates to the city and our relationship with those deals, with those agencies, that there would be some type of collaboration. That's the whole point of creating them. But you just heard not too long ago, a mere 15, 20 minutes ago, that if you don't enter into a lease or an IGA, then apparently they're gonna, this is what I heard, we'll do an accounting to see how much money you owe us. That's a good thing about video. We can't operate like that. We can't. And in the absence of those other 2 agencies doing what they were charged to do, the URA has to act. And what I want to point out to you, ladies and gentlemen, inside of our IGA, our intergovernmental agreement, it's one paragraph in particular. So here are the powers of the Urban Redevelopment Agency. Article 2, Urban Redevelopment Project Powers and Activities. It is understood and agreed by the parties, that's the URA and the city, by virtue of the city designating the agency as the city's Urban Redevelopment Agency, the agency has all powers, rights, privileges, responsibilities, and obligations afforded to it under the Urban Redevelopment Law. This is a very specific law created by the legislature of this state. By such election, the agency is authorized to exercise urban development project powers subject only to those limitations expressly provided by the Urban Redevelopment Law. So before we can even get here, we had to submit to the city an urban redevelopment plan. And I can tell you that it's a great plan, almost 100 pages long. And I wrote it. It's an awesome plan. And it was accepted by this council. In that plan, if you haven't read it, outlines every single thing that we said we were going to do. So if you want to know all of the stuff that we're supposed to do, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't read it already, it's a great read. And you can find, anybody can find it on our website, on the homepage. Go to How Do I, read view, and then go to Urban Redevelopment Plan. And it's there. Article 3, funding and appropriations. In consideration of the undertakings of the commitments made by the agency in exercise of its urban redevelopment project powers, the city shall allocate reasonable and appropriate funds to the agency to enable it to fulfill its public purpose. Section Article 3, funding and appropriations. I want you to pay attention to section 3.3, additional funding or appropriations. In addition, from time to time, during the term of this agreement is until 2028, everybody, it's a 5-year term. In addition, from time to time, during the term of this agreement, the city shall, in its discretion, appropriate additional funds for use by the agency in implementation of the urban redevelopment plan. And just for GP, just to point this out. Well, Article 3.3 is directly related to the motion here on the deal, that the city, in its discretion, can appropriate. You don't have to wait for the budget. If the city says, hey, or the council says, we want to give you some more money to do what you need to do, you don't have to necessarily wait for the budget to do that. You can do that any time, from time to time, during the term of this agreement. So we're not locked into any specific funding schedule, if you will. Article 4, agency operations. I want you to pay attention to A, because I think this is important. The city expressly authorizes the agency to use City Hall or such other city hall facility for the agency to conduct its public meetings and for other operational purposes at no cost or expense to the agency. The city clerk shall post notices of agency meetings, and we do that, obviously. When we have a URA meeting, we post it just like we do on our website, and we notify the local press and that type of thing. In other words, ladies and gentlemen, and right now, the URA uses the old Main Street office as a hub for its city operations. So those resources, we use it. Melinda is loaned to the URA. But as you can see in B, the agency shall have regional access to city staff and resources to conduct its operations. This is how important the URA is. Read that again. The agency shall have reasonable access to city staff and resources to conduct its operations. The city shall have one staff member to function as the agency clerk and shall be responsible for the maintenance of minutes, records, contracts, and other official documents. The city hereby covenants and agrees to provide and assign such other city staff, loan staff, to assist with operation. The point that I'm making, everybody, is that the city of Camilla has agreed with the URA, whatever you need to facilitate your urban redevelopment plan, you have it, if the council authorizes. Right now, and it is now officially part of the record, the DDA and the CDA, they don't meet. I don't know if that's proper English or not, but they haven't met in a while. So I don't know what the plan is as it relates to how we're going to move this thing forward. What I do know is that we got streets in this town that need to be paved. We've got general quality of life issues that need to be addressed now. I got a city manager, we have a city manager, that every other day is discussing with EPD related to our spray field. 3 years ago, I asked that we work on our spray field, use our own money to repair our spray field. We waited almost a year for a GFA loan. Once we finally got the money, after about 15 months, we found out that we had another $500,000 damage at those spray fields that we had not accounted for. And we're still dealing with that problem today because of that 15-month delay. Our assistant city manager, Luke White, is probably one of the hardest working individuals I've ever seen in my life. I'm not surprised because he's a fellow Marine. But he was out on 19 yesterday with a weed eater in his hand. I just happened to be driving by. That level, what's in that, respectfully, what's in that brain right there, everybody, will push this city forward by many years. But he's the type of guy that if something needs to get weed, is it proper to say weed ate? If there's something that needs a weed eater, he ain't got no problems, even in his position, to get out there with a weed and get to work. Huh?
We
Weed eat. He has no problems doing it. But we need him on our big picture stuff. The resources required to do that, if it has to come to the council every single time, defeats the purpose. Hence the reason the URA was created. The URA can do just as much as the council as it relates to the operations and related to its urban redevelopment powers that it needs to. And we can do that in a meeting, anytime we feel like it. We can contract with people and agencies to give Luke, give Cheryl needs somebody to go out there to the spray field and work and identify some of the problems that we have. The URA can enter into a contract with those individuals without the council having to do anything. Gerald, the URA just contracted with a local spray field folks that are experts in it. I'm going to put them in contact with you, tell them what you need. The URA can do that. Luke, what you say? You need about 5 folks today. You don't need them for the whole year. You just need them for a couple of 3 weeks to help when the grass is growing during the summer. If the city tries to do that, that's almost like trying to bring in 5 new employees. The URA can bring in 5 new individual contractors, hire them, and have them report to Luke for the next 3 weeks. That contract then ends. But the mission was accomplished. LVA, we got roads and sidewalks that need to be done. Don't have to come to you. Luke can say, I got some recommendations for you, URA. All right, who you got? All right, here we go. Hey, want to enter into a paving contract with the city of Camilla to do very specific roads? Not a problem. We can knock out those roads today. The only thing that the URA would do when the bill comes is give it to Cheryl, who's going to give it to the CFO and say, pay for this out of T-Spots. That's the value of the URA. But in order to have those actions, we need resources to do that. And it has come clear to me, council, that over the last 5 months, maybe close to 4 to 5 months, our operational tempo has slowed. It has tapped down. We can't have that. We can't hem and haw when it is time for work to get done. And the URA needs resources for that. And by the way, everybody, the URA members, myself, Mayor Pro Tem Burley, and Commissioner Smith, Vernon Smith, we don't get paid a dime to be on the URA. They work on it. And right now, we need to give the city the relief that it needs, i.e. those $2 million, so that it can help facilitate what it is that we're supposed to be doing. And the URA needs the same, so that it can facilitate the mission that it's supposed to be doing, in the absence of the other two. No one is authorized to get paid on the URA, so that money doesn't go in anybody's pocket or do any of that kind of silliness. It is to facilitate the urban redevelopment plan, period. And right now, our redevelopment, for whatever reason, is on that. We were awarded Plan First status in January. We have not taken advantage of not one of the benefits of that designation. I'm going to be meeting next week with the Regional Commission to talk about our GIC deal for housing. But the rest of those deals, we have not. What's the reason for that? One of them, I would argue, I'm going to use the term, I'll call it background noise in recent months and weeks. That stuff impacts operations. And for some, that might be a good thing. But we need to keep it moving. And we can't stop. So council, that is my recommendation, and which is outlined in this resolution, that we need to do this immediately so that we can get to work. So there's no debate. What that $2 million is going to do for city operations, everybody, is give the CFO probably about 14 to 16 months of straight operational freedom to do any and everything that is required to get this city where it needs to be. You guys are driving around here in Camilla, you see these road cuts in the road with this dirt in it, with these cones and that type of thing. That is not indicative of a city where we're trying to ask businesses and citizens to move here. And surely not for the citizens that are here when we have the resources to do it. The problem is we need other individuals to help manage that stuff, and we can do that on a temporary basis through the URA. We're just not utilizing the tools. And it's time for us to do that. And this will help tremendously in that effort. And lastly, the only point that I'll make, when you talk about the MEAG Trust, and I'm gonna try something here, just real quick, everybody, my apologies, just bear with me. I'm gonna do MEAG annual report. Annual reports, MEAG. So, for my new council members, or newer council members, we are MEAG City. When you want to talk about the history of the MEAG Trust, all these annual reports till about 2015. So I've read every single one of these reports from 2015. So I've read 8 years worth. I'm sorry. 15 to 25.
7, that's the only goes to 22.
The 25. It goes to 24.
Oh, 24, I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
So almost 10 years worth.
Got it.
It's good reading. But this one right here is the one that I want to pull up, if y'all don't mind. This is important. See, I know it's in all of them, and I know it's in the one for 2015. bear with me. Because I wasn't gonna do this, but it just hit me that I could just Google it. And what it talks about, and I won't spend a whole lot of time, everybody, I won't spend a whole lot of time, but as it relates to the and I could probably just summarize it for you. But basically, when we talk about the money that comes in every year for the refund, every city that put money into it had an opportunity to use it any kind of way they wanted to. The point that I'm making is it was designed to pay for voting. Apparently, one of the things that we really didn't count on as a city was the energy credits. So our MEAC deal has been pretty good because we have not had the need to raise rates. As a matter of fact, we lowered the PCA. So we've been doing just fine without having to raise the rates. So I guess the point that I'm making is this money was never designed to last forever. Us pulling this money down today, if you guys agree, signifies a tremendous shift on this dais. Because now, folks gonna have to come here and work. The days of waiting for other people to come up with ideas to see where you can punch a hole in it, those days are gone. That everybody's gonna have to come up with ideas. And the idea, whether it's 2 years from now or 5 years from now, when this money is gone, when we're down to the one refund that comes in every year, the question is, what is the city of Panola gonna look like? You're gonna have to generate revenue some kind of way. Some of us decided we're gonna take control over the depot and keep that money. We're gonna create a sports bar and lounge called Scores to generate money there. We're gonna create a new gym where we can bring in basketball tournaments and wrestling tournaments. A new hotel to support the people coming in for the basketball tournaments and wrestling tournaments. A new community resource center that feeds not only the bellies, but the minds of our young people. So when they go to school every day, they are contributing to our economy. Credits back to the citizens of this city that will get reinvested in the community. So a lot of us, or some of us on this council, have been working real hard over the last 3 to 5 years to think of innovative ways to grow our economy. Us just waiting to pay bills and actually not do anything to grow our economy, those days are over and it's not sustainable. It's time to unleash the Cabela Urban Redevelopment Agency. And that's what this item is, and this is what the resolution is right now. All right, so council, I will yield before we get to the motion, just to see if anybody got any other thoughts.
I have 7.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna borrow your words. We can't operate like that. We're spending a lot of money. And,
Define that now.
okay, I'm going with it, if you'll please allow me. All right, 8/31/23, beginning of fiscal year 2024. From that time until the statement you just showed, our MEAC funds are down $4 million. That's roughly $250,000 a month that we're needing to supplement our bills, and that's just the start. If you go to the 2023 audit, we do not have 24. Page 10. We have proprietary or enterprise funds. From the 2023 audit, electric alone was short $1.7 million. So in addition to the $3.2 million that we took from MEAG, we transferred out almost double our operating income. On that same page 10, we are operating at a loss on the enterprise funds in gas, cable, and airport. We had an ECG report from 5/1/2023 that said if we continued this spending, that's 2 years ago, that the funds would be depleted in 2026, and that's exactly what's gonna happen.
Okay,
And we don't,
so Councilmember, you just said ECG said
Yes.
that. Where did they say that?
right here, I've got it on, it is a memo from Sarah Leonard. It is a report done by ECG dated 5/22, well, it was sent to me on 5/22/25. But I go from slide 1, 2, 3, 4. If MCT funds are used to balance the budget, MCT projected to be depleted in 2026 on the baseline scenario. And that is a report from Electrical Cities of Georgia. It also says that when ECG asked about the MCT being credited against the MEAG bill, because we didn't have sufficient revenues, then it says that MCT being applied to reduce the MEAG bill and the audit showing electric funds being in the red FY 2023 equate to an issue of insufficient revenues from the electric fund. Now, it says that ECG requested quarterly financials be shared, but they have been requesting financial information and none was provided. So I don't want, you talk about legacy, I don't want the legacy of this council to be that there's no money left. We just got $900,000+ back and we're gonna spend it instead of putting it back into a fund which clearly needs $250,000 a month to operate. Now, I don't understand how we can go on like this and funds, again, have been stated by the Electrical Cities of Georgia that we're gonna be run out in 2026. We have to stop spending. Now, MEAG Trust, if you look at $250,000 a month is withdrawn from these accounts over the last 20 months, and I have it right here. I got the statements. And in addition to that $250,000 coming out, we're losing, we started in September of 23, we were getting $44,000 a month in interest. Now, the last statement I got was in April of 25, and now we're getting $24,000. So we're also, in addition to that, losing $20,000 a month in interest payments because we keep spending this money. Now, I personally 100% think that a lot of good things have happened. I think the Resource Center is awesome, the splash pad. I disagree with some of the other possibilities. But I agree that we need to be innovative and creative, but I don't think we need to do it to the tune of $2 million out of the MEAG Trust Fund. I think we need to leave it where it is if we have a rainy day, but again, we don't need to run out of money in 2026. And it's been stated more than once that is a distinct and real possibility. Even Mr. Owens, you said when it's gone, just a few minutes ago. But that is, and I got a folder full, I got the numbers right here. I've got the 2023 audit. We don't have 2024 to know what's happening then, and we're waiting on it. But I'm going to hope the 2024 is a little bit brighter than the 2023. But again, our proprietary funds are operating at a loss, and before we go doling out a bunch of money, I think we need to hang on to it and tighten our bootstraps and quit spending. Thank you, that's all I have to say.
All right, so, anybody else?
Yeah.
Yes, I've got some comments. I agree with Ms. Marine. We can't continue this process of spending, more than we are taking in. We are supplementing all of our, services. And besides that, and this is the most irresponsible proposal I think I've ever heard of. And I'm in the finance business, have been all my life. I have, in 12 to 18 months, we will have no money left in the city coffers.
All right, you good, Councilman? All right, Councilman.
Yes, just gotta add some framing and context to this system with MEAG. I think too, when it was created in the 70s, it was a system to help cities, grow some revenue and do what they gotta do in their communities. But we saw over time that this model just takes and takes and takes and takes. And for Camilla's example, from this, 5,000 or so people or 3,000 that are on the utilities. But it takes and takes and takes, and it does not reinvest back into its community. And that's something that this council, in a couple years ago, 22, 23, I think it was quoted, we decided to actually begin to pour back into our community in hopes of growing our revenue. And I think we are doing that. But of course, that does take investments. I'm hearing council members from now in the past talk about allowing the funds just to sit in the coffers. And what good does that do as well? So I'll yield there with that, but just wanted to point out and really give that framing of how this system has ran over the years. The more of an extraction, you can really pour back to the community.
If the money is gone, where is the $250,000 a month in operating expenses that we all obviously need going to come from?
Yeah, and I think both of you for your comments and along the same lines as Councilman Morgan, Councilmember Marine made some statements that are, I'm gonna use the term disingenuous, because terms like loss and spending but those are her words and they're yours to make. I agree with the language used by the councilman, which is investments versus spending, if you will. We've invested in our community. And I would also argue one of the issue that you're having when you're talking about that budget, Councilmember, is the electric fund is our go-to. The electric fund feeds the general fund. That is our biggest contributor. We of course we pull from it. It is our biggest enterprise fund. That is normal, man. And to the point that where you said that, oh, we're operating a loss, we're doing such and such. Now, we just got approved. Our books went through the ringer. The last 3 or 4 audits we've had have been clean. Our books just got looked at where we got a $5.1 billion bond from one of the largest banks in this country. And we have to provide them with at least 3 years worth of our books. When you say that we've operated at a loss, what you're failing to say, either purposely or unknowingly, is that those transfers out go directly to the general fund. So when people pay their gas bill, when people pay their electric bill, it feeds into the general fund to pay our other bills. So the transfers you're seeing is part of the day-to-day operation of the city now.
Oh, we're not in the business of making money, but we should be in the business of breaking even. We shouldn't be at a loss if the audit says in 2023 that we operated at a minus 1.7 million. In addition to that, we're putting, and that's from the fund, and then we're putting from the MEAG fund, $250,000 a month away. That's a loss.
Ma'am, you're either purposely misrepresenting.
I'm
You
not.
have to be. If you're not purposely misrepresenting,
I'm not.
there are elements to what you're talking about, to where what you're saying, ma'am, just isn't true.
So the 2023 audit is not to be believed?
When you say, okay, ma'am, you just said operating loss at $1 million, right? Okay, just hold that thought for a second. How did stuff get paid for?
Because we took money out of the fund.
Okay.
To the tune of, and transfer to the general fund. As a matter of fact, in electric, the total transfer to general funds was 3.9 million. Total. And then, so it gave us a change in net position of $1.7 million. And there was also a change in net position, loss in gas, CNS, airport as well. So of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 funds, 4 of them had a negative change in the net position. And like I said, we shouldn't be in the business of making money, but it'd be nuts to break even.
Yeah, so.
And in addition to that,
Yes, sir.
in addition to those net losses, again, we're taking $250,000 a month out of these other accounts. And I just fail to see how that's a break even.
Yeah.
And I've said it twice. I'm sorry.
No, you're absolutely fine. So what I figured out is that we will not have enough time today for me to unpack all of what you just said. What I would recommend is that the city of Camilla, these changes in so-called net positions, if you will, the city of Camilla, our employees are some of the highest paid in this region. And the reason why we've done that
It's key.
is to keep, but also reward them for the work that they've done. But that's not to say that they haven't, that has caused an overall negative net position in terms of, and we know this to be true, ma'am, because there is no employee that has come here and said, I wasn't paid today.
I understand, but can you answer one question to me?
Sure.
All right, at the current rate that it's been going and in transferring these funds that you want to do today, which I am opposed to.
Sure.
In 2026, when there's none there,
Yeah.
what are our options?
How much is that, by the way?
How much is what?
How much did we transfer last year?
You're talking.
Or this year? How much? I'm gonna go ahead and settle this right now. How much did we transfer?
From 8/31/23 to the figures you gave today, $4 million out of the MEAG money.
That's 2 years. So last year, man, 12 months.
Last 12 months, starting, you wanna go just 2024 January?
Absolutely, that works.
All right, so 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, $2.35 million.
That's right. Let's round it up.
3,
2.4.
all right?
2.4 million, 200,000
Was
per year.
in the year 2024.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, we do have interest coming in off that.
Yes, ma'am. So this is 2025. Oh, that reminds me of the interest thing.
I've got those numbers as well.
Gotcha.
But I'm sorry.
Yeah. No,
I'm sorry.
So here's the deal. Let's just do some basic math. 2.4 last year. The report that you read from ECG said if we continue to do that again, by 2026, it will be depleted. Right?
So
Hold
if
it up.
Okay, hold.
Hold that up. 2.4 next year. Supposed to be depleted. If we continue, same deal.
And this is the trust account.
That's me. 5.6 which does not include the 950 that we just brought back. So add another
But
million.
you promised to spend that elsewhere.
No, no.
Legal fees
No, no,
and
just,
other things.
just one more point, man. Cool 1 million, we just brought back, so you add $1 million back to that.
But it's not there.
You know what? Don't even use it.
Don't, that's right,
Don't
you can't
even-
use it because you promised it somewhere else.
Don't even use it. 5.6. What's 5.6 minus 2.4?
32.
That's not depleted. See, you get what I'm going here? You just said,
But you're fixing to
Because
take
it's
$3 million out of that.
no,
You're
ma'am.
fixing to take $3 million out of that, so then you're at
No, ma'am, let me finish.
2.6 and it's gone.
No, ma'am. That report, no. The report you read in the ECG was preparing it.
But this is saying take $3 million
No,
out
ma'am.
of that.
When is the ECG report? When was that printed?
That is,
That you pulled?
the ECG report, when it's dated?
Yeah.
All right, the conference call was on May 1, 2023.
So 2 years ago,
They said.
I promise you, ma'am, that 2 years ago when that statement was made, no one traveled to the future, to today, to know that we're gonna have a resolution to withdraw $3 million. That report that you're reading is saying, minus this $3 million, that report that you're saying is that 3 years from now, if you continue at the rate that you're doing, which we did, because last year we did the same 2.4 million. By next year, 2026, it would have been depleted. If we didn't touch this 3 million, and even if we do touch the 3 million, you're still gonna leave with 2.5 million plus the refund that's coming 8 months from now. The point that I'm making, ma'am, is that when you're using terms like it will be depleted, that's simply not true. The point that I'm making, and the point of all of this, is that, and I found the thing that I was looking for with the meeting. There appears to be, for some on this dais, that some on this council, is that we should do nothing. One council member that is the chairman of the 2 other arms of economic development from this city, having met, I would argue, twice in 2 years. Who is going to do the things necessary to improve the position of this city? It appears that folks' only idea is, let's leave the money in MCT. Don't make any investments in the city to build more business, to get more residents. Let's just do nothing and just eat from that as all day long. Now, I will let you in on something.
We've got a $5 million gym that we've got to pay for.
Now, there's no bond for that.
But it's gotta be paid.
That's
Pay
what,
back.
now, SPOS will pay for that. What's going on, Councilmember?
I don't think that this is a good idea.
Okay, say that, man.
Okay,
No,
all right.
but please, when you're communicating to the public. So, all
I
right,
have one other question,
Sure.
and then I will yield and
sure.
Ms. Ford, how much do we, on average, send a check to MEA for a month? The MEA check month,
Between 800 and 900,000.
okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Alright, so with this $3 million spent, say, transfer or whatever,
Yes, ma'am.
that leaves us with about 2 months of bills to pay. If some terrible disaster were to happen, we got two months worth
So
of.
now you're getting.
I'm just asking.
What's, go ahead.
But anyway, I get it. I'm serious. And
So we pay our bills, ma'am, when the citizens pay theirs. So the money that comes from the MCT is not the guaranteed money that pays me. We pay our bills from the revenue we receive when the citizens pay their bill. That's how the MEAG bill is paid. It's not paid with,
but we're short.
we're not short.
Supplement.
We're supplementing.
Okay.
Now, guess who decides how much you supplement? Guess who makes that decision? We don't do that in real time now. We typically
We do it ahead of time,
Okay, but who does it?
the council.
The council does that. So man, 3 or 4 months from now, this council will make a decision. Are we doing another 2.4? Are we doing another building? Are we doing 500,000? That's up to
So
the
that's
council.
what we're asked to do today. Is that correct?
Well, $1 million.
Right.
Yes, ma'am, $1 million. And you
So
guys,
we just asked for 2.4 for the year, so.
yeah. And here's what I would recommend, and especially with the questions that you have, council member, especially during the summer. There's a lot of information that is passed up here. Everybody is welcome to come, have conversations. You know, Cheryl don't have time all day, but these types of questions, we don't have to wait until council meetings to get this information. The advantage that I have, and just keeping it real, I'm retired. I spend a lot of time up here. I do a lot of reading. So a lot of this stuff, even though I'm saying it, I know it just by generically. But this, I found what I was looking for. I want to read this to you, council member, because I want you to hear me ask.
And you can ask Ms. Ford, I've been up here and sat down with her, I asked. I did.
Absolutely.
And I've asked you as well,
And you have,
I have, I'm asked.
indeed. This is from 2018, I believe, what page is this? So I don't lose my back forward.
Yeah, it was, I believe
It's 2018. There it is, right there. 2018. Here it is. This is very important, everybody, because this goes to the point that Councilman Palmer just made, to the point Councilmember Marine, as spirited as she does it, this is the point that she made. And everybody, me and Councilmember Marine, we have very cordial conversations off the clock, if you
and we
will.
sometimes agree to disagree.
And-
We just don't
and-
have to agree
so,
to disagree.
It's all good. This is part of the legislative process, everybody, so just let you know. We make things right. Production tax credit. Now this is important. For nearly 10 years, MEAG Power Staff participant works not to seek legislation that will allow nonprofit, we think things through. The municipal competitive trust credits. That's what we're talking about, right? The municipal competitive trust was established for our participants in 1999. Right? 1999. In anticipation of the deregulation of electric power in Georgia. In 2008, the threat of deregulation no longer existed. The MEAG Power was able to effectuate amendments to the NCT, allowing trust funds to be utilized for the purpose of lowering the participants' wholesale power supply costs during the period of 2009 to 2018. In other words, we set this money aside because we thought the government was going to just kill us with regulations. That never happened. So, we got all this money, what are we gonna do with it? As a result of one of these amendments, each community, each city, has benefited from a reduction in their power costs, totaling approximately $676 million. Here's the part that I want you to hear. Some have elected to use the additional financial capacity to fund possible future generation, which we do, in paying our MEAG bill, while others have used their lower generation charges to direct funds to various local projects such as infrastructure, economic development, downtown renovation, and more. Good thinking all around. MEAG understood 10 years ago that we're not blaming a city that will use their funds for economic development. This is not, I don't want people walking out of here thinking that this is a city of Camilla thing. The other 49 cities have done the exact same thing. So reinvesting in our community and economic development is part of what this has done. That's not Owens talking, that's MEAG talking. That's important for everybody to know. What I'm suggesting here today is not unusual.
So would we be able to operate without lease transfer funds?
I think so. I really do. And I think when you get to the budget, to budget season later this year, we can have those discussions. This council can
So
have.
why can't we table this until after we receive the 2024 audit?
Yeah.
And we've gone through budget hearings? It's only a month.
Yeah, I'll tell you why. No, actually, it's more than a month. The new budget doesn't start to October
But
first.
it's less than a month until we get the 2024 audit.
Yes, ma'am. We have 2 economic development organizations that do absolutely nothing.
But that's got nothing to do with this transfer.
It actually does. Because it's going to, because the URA is going to get to work immediately. We are done. So in other words, man, what I'm suggesting is that we're done waiting. We are done waiting. And I hope that a majority of this council agrees with that. May I take a ride around this town?
I did yesterday, and we've got 17% of the downtown, if you take a block
Mhm.
from 19 down these 2 streets and cut it off there, 17% of the buildings are vacant. I've got the numbers, I wrote it down yesterday.
Okay, so,
So I agree with the development.
I'm just gonna say, I don't know if you agree with that or.
63 and 11 empty, which is about 17%. So I definitely agree, and you have plans with that $900 and something thousand to make some changes there.
No, ma'am. So what I'm talking
So
about,
why can't we take that money that's already been appropriated? Why do we need another $1 million? We've already got $1 million that we just, at the last meeting, voted to use on economic development.
yeah. So,
In several different areas, like 5 or 6 different, in addition to that. But we just said.
I have no idea, and I mean this with all due respect, why the investment averse, I don't know why some of this council is so investment averse.
I'm not, we just, at the last meeting, appropriated the MEAG money that came in well, the April deposit in the account was $941,782. And we just said, okay, we're gonna spend this on A, B, C, D. But now we're turning around and saying we need another $1 million?
No, actually,
We haven't spent that yet.
actually $3 million.
That's what I'm saying, but $1 million of it is, you're talking going straight to you.
Going straight to URA, per the IGA now.
Well, I understand that, but why can't we, let's see what happens with this first before we get putting more in there.
You are more than welcome to make a substitute motion.
Okay.
Is the URA having a limit how much they can spend?
No.
All right, the next question is, how much reserve do you think we need?
That'll be up to the council. The council has never, this city council.
So I know we're gonna make the decision, but what do you think?
To answer that off the top of my head, sir, I would need a lot of information in front of me, but the city has never operated off reserves in the traditional sense that you're discussing. We've never had a discussion or created a policy that X, Y, Z will be held in escrow, if you will. And I know that's the wrong term, but held in order to pay our bills, if you will.
Well, we had about 15 million when I started, and we've spent it, and now we're down to 2.6.
If approved today,
After this,
absolutely.
so we have been spending our reserves.
Yeah, and just imagine, council member, is that when we were just sitting on those $15 million, if somebody just had walked out to the spray field and said, hey, we got $15 million in the bank and our spray field is falling apart. And I would assume 15 years ago, Councilman, the repairs to the spray field would have equated to maybe $200,000. We're now approaching $3 million. So I wish that the folks that were sitting around this dais, when we wasn't having discussions about inflation and the failing of our economy and all these other things that have happened in the last 15 years, back in 2000, 2002, when things were running fairly smoothly, somebody would have said, we have $15 million. And I want to show you something, Councilman. This right here, if you not see that, this is part of the urban redevelopment plan. And part of the plan has certain maps. This map right here illustrates the poverty percentages in the city of Camilla. That yellow that you see up there represents 40 to 100%. You see where that nice even line is? That separation there? Where half of the city is living in abject poverty, while the other half, you see that? Take a guess, who lives on that side? This is the point that I'm making. You can have a look at your map and see who lives there. Where 40 to 100% of the folks are living in poverty versus the folks below that line.
I live in that area. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
because I think you're right in that we do.
You live in District 1?
Well, I live on 112.
Okay. I think
I think that's the 1-2 district line drawn, it's close, but it's not.
very close.
But I mean,
The point, yeah.
but I have just one other question, and you are so right in that.
Let me finish my thought.
Okay, I'm sorry. And then we can get the vote and.
$15 million. Could have done a lot of work 10 years ago in helping those numbers. Somebody made a decision. And the last 3 CDGs we've had went over to the District 1 area because folks were flushing their toilets and the waste was coming up on the front yard. Did we really have to wait to see CDBG to fix that? With $15 million in the bank? I don't think so. So the point that I'm making, council member, is that we are done, in my mind, waiting to improve the conditions and the quality of life for the citizens of this city, all of our citizens. The brand new gym, the Community Resource Center is all in District 2. It is amazing that $10 million of investment is going to District 2 and not a single council member from that district voted for any of it.
But now we had this conversation, and I told you if I'd have been on this council, I would have voted.
No,
I was not on the council then, okay?
but I just want to make sure that no one is picking sides.
I'm not picking sides.
No, I just want to make sure folks understand that's not what I'm doing.
Yes, sir.
$10 million of investment is happening in your district right now, and not a single council member from that district voted for it. I think that's important. But go ahead, ma'am, to your point.
One other thing,
Yes,
and I keep saying I'm sorry, but, do we have to transfer the money from the trust? Can't we just spend it out alone?
Oh, thank you so much.
I'm sorry to ask that, but
No,
I was
no.
under the impression that you could, as long as it went to pay the power bill, you didn't have to move it.
Yeah, great question. Thank you so much. You made a point earlier about interest. That we're paying this much interest and
And
this
now we're
much.
not.
So, actually, we are paying.
Okay.
Because when the money is transferred here, it goes to the Georgia Flood Fund that pays the same 4% that it was getting up at the MCT. The only difference is, so we didn't lose any extra interest, man. We just made it at another institution. So I just want people to.
So why would you even, if this is gonna pay the same, why do you need to move it?
To have access to it.
But you have access to, the trust fund to pay the power bill.
Now, you just answered your question. Yes, ma'am. So what's gonna happen? If this thing is approved today, myself and Cheryl, we'll go back here. We're gonna sign a document that's gonna tell MEAG exactly what to do. We're gonna tell them that you're gonna take another $1 million, which will be for power generation, if you will. Okay? So to your point, that $1 million, to your point, doesn't go anywhere. What this lets, but actually, no, it needs to come here. It needs to come here. Yeah, it needs to come here. Because.
So this is gonna go, from the MEAG trust fund, it says balance for payment of the power bill, but that you already have the authority to do that. So why does it have to
No, no.
come out?
It's a different amount. It's a different amount. The CFO is gonna need the flexibility to pull that. She knows, or this resolution tells her, that you can only use $1 million to do X, Y, Z with this particular deal, or the supplement. She'll be able to do that on her own.
All right, so when was the 2.4 approved, do you know?
At last budget season.
Okay. All right, so on normal practices, you draw down about 2.4 a year. And so this would be, I'm just asking.
Yeah, it's not, because the year before that, I think we did 1.8 or something.
Okay. All right, so this is, so when this comes around again, we won't need but 1.4.
Completely up to the council. Completely up to the council.
All right, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. All right. Any other questions?
Yes, I have a comment.
Yes, sir.
One thing, several things to jump out. One of the big things that, on this request that should be, important and should be brought out, that $2 million transferred to the general fund. If our budget last year was balanced, why do we need $2 million to supplement the general fund? And, I would say it goes back to poor planning and poor management, because we had a budget, all we had to do was follow the budget. And obviously it was not done. And now we're $2 million supposedly, short of our needed funds.
Yeah, so I just want to make sure that the media understands this too. I don't think anybody's saying anything about anybody being short. And I'm glad that you also mentioned that, Councilmember Palmer, because it's important for Councilmember Marine to hear that too, is that here in the state of Georgia, we're required to have a balanced budget. Our budget has been balanced every single year. And I think this is to the point that you made earlier about operating at a loss. All our bills have been paid. Our budget was balanced via budget amendment. So whatever you saw there was corrected in the budget amendment, which is allowed by state law. So that money was there. And to make this even better, the money that we had came from other departments. So you will hear this for the first time when this council goes into budget season. You will hear such and such budget approved at the departmental level. And what that means is each department has its own budget. So at the end of the year, if we've expended more in this department versus this department, what we've been able to do for the last 3 or 4 years now is the money that was allocated for other departments, we were able to take that money to pay what was short over here. So to count, and I'm glad Councilman Palmer made that point, because that's absolutely true. So we have not been operating at a loss. You're looking at each individual department, but when you add the other departments, what they didn't spend, if you will, we had more than enough to make up the difference. So thank you for making that point, Councilman Palmer, and I look forward to hearing about the great stuff the DDA and CDA is going to be doing after today to facilitate economic development in this town. I look forward to that. All right. Any other comments? All right. Council, at this time, and I know I'm going to owe the mayor pro tem about 15 push-ups, but I said we're going to have to be that new. So council, at this time, is there a motion to approve resolution number 2025-07-03-1, a resolution by the City of Cabello Mayor and Council to transfer funds from the city's municipal electric authority of Georgia, MEAG Trust Fund, to the General Fund and Urban Redevelopment Agency for the purposes of continuing city operations and other lawful purposes. Whereas they, hello, yes, ma'am,
I just wanted to make a comment.
sure.
And this probably will help with like transparency and clarity. We could also amend the resolution just to specifically show, what departments that those funds will be going into, and also, what budget line, what expenses essentially they will cover. Obviously, the revenues coming in, and they will, they will go in line with certain expenses within, the specific city departments in the general fund. So
Yeah,
that's just something that we could kind of, after hearing the conversation, we should definitely, make that clear, so we'll know, where that money's placed.
well, the whole point of the resolution as submitted by an attorney is to give the chief financial officer the flexibility in making those decisions. She's there day to day, and if another council member wants to make a substitute motion related to that, that is perfectly fine. But I think that the sole purpose of this resolution as submitted is to allow the CFO that flexibility to operate in that way. And the transparency would be there because whatever accounts it is transferred to will be annotated either in the budget in the form of budget amendment or in the financial statements kept by the city.
So we're confident in the budget amendment to match this, this resolution today?
Well, I think by adding these additional funds, they're gonna have to be accounted for. So I think in this fiscal year. So sometime next spring or whatever the case may be, the auditor obviously is gonna ask where this money went, where did it go, and those types of things, and that'll be captured there.
Just my recommendation, I would argue that maybe council has, I don't know if the CFO has the power to say where the funds will go. So that would be my only hesitation to that. Just specifically stating, how, where those funds will go. I mean, and that could be maybe followed with another, piece of legislation, but, that might be something we need to look into. So that's just my initial thoughts.
Yeah, I think as a policy matter, the money deposited into the general fund and any of those funds that are being transferred to any other department will be annotated. And again, this is from the policy side of the house. Nothing more, nothing less. So this money can be deposited to the general fund, correct?
Yeah, it seems, that, I don't know, you all kind of probably done this in practice, for some years now, so, like you said, there are restricted funds that have to be used for a specific purpose, but then there seems to be, unrestricted funds that can be used for general operations, so, like you said, the city's, control level is at the department level, and so even though you all are potentially approving the money to be moved from the MEAG trust fund, we just almost need to tell the city, we need to tell them where to go. That's essentially what I'm saying. So yeah, I don't think there's a problem right now. I don't think there's a problem with moving it to the general fund at all, but just essentially, of course, the general fund houses a number of different, departments that it funds, for different city operations. And so maybe when the CFO has that maybe, let me say this to your point. I think it should be her recommendation because she's boots on the ground. She sees where money needs to go, and maybe that's where we say, okay, we approve where this money's going to be situated.
And absolutely, and again, the point that I made earlier, what we've done over the last 4 or 5 years, probably the last 6 years, is that if and when the opportunity comes for an amendment to the budget or anything similar to that, and we've had an amendment for the last 4 or 5 years. So, that wouldn't be something that would be unusual. Yeah, so in the interim,
she can do that kind of analysis and then just, we have the budget and then she can tell us where the money's going.
absolutely.
Will these funds be governed under if it's more than $30,000 requires council approval?
Yeah, so the other policies are not in
Which
place.
is in place.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am. No, so this is general operations, this is day-to-day stuff. So the payroll every month is more than $30,000. So the budget allows, that's the authorizing document.
Correct.
That allows them to do all that stuff, so.
thank you.
Yes, ma'am. All right. Whereas the mayor and council of the city of Camilla approved the fiscal year 2025 city of Camilla budget for the delivery of services to its residents and the general public. And whereas the city has identified needs within the department supported by the general fund as well as needs within the city's urban redevelopment agency. And whereas the city wishes to transfer, and I'm not reading this just simply for the folks that are watching. Whereas the city wishes to transfer funds from the city MEAG trust to the general fund and the urban redevelopment agency for the purpose of continuing operations. And whereas the city of Camilla desires to transfer $1 million and 0 cents from the MEAG Trust Fund restricted balance for the payment of MEAG power bill. And whereas the city council desires to transfer $1 million and 0 cents from the MEAG Trust Fund unrestricted balance for the general city operations, an additional $1 million and 0 cents for the urban redevelopment agency. Now therefore be it resolved by the city council of the city of Camilla, Georgia, that funds shall be transferred from the MEAG Trust Fund as follows. MEAG Trust Fund restricted balance, $1 million. And MEAG Trust Fund unrestricted balance of $2 million. Be it further resolved that the funds shall be accepted as follows. General Fund, $2 million. Urban Redevelopment Agency, $1 million. Be it further resolved to the extent any portion of this resolution is declared to be valid, unenforceable, non-binding, and shall not affect the remaining portions of this resolution. Be it further resolved that all city resolutions are hereby repealed to the extent they are inconsistent with this resolution. Be it finally resolved, this resolution shall take effect immediately. All right. So council, at this time, is there a motion to approve resolution number 2025-07-03-1?
Motion to approve.
Second. Have a motion properly second. Any discussion? All right, Madam Clerk, roll call.
Councilmember Vereen,
No,
Councilman Barley,
Yes.
Councilman Morgan,
Yes.
Councilman Collins,
No.
Councilman Maples,
Yes.
Councilman Palmer,
No.
Mayor votes yes. Motion carries. All right, thank you, council. All right, council, at this time, and my apologies, council. My apologies. My apologies. Madam Clerk, I need to. No, we're fine. We're fine. Because me and Cheryl, we'll do this right now. All right. Any other comments?
I do, I have one.
Okay.
Luke, he was right dead on the spot about what a great job you do. I just want to, say that you are somebody that it's not do as I say, it's do as I do. And that is very much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Thank you. All right. Council, it appears that we have reached the end of our agenda. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
We are adjourned. Thank you, council. Thank you, Madam Attorney. All right.
And I did. Boy, y'all love I'm glad we're going home.
Jay,
Is there any paper towel up there?
are you going, are you?
Oh. There, no, you're off. I'm glad, I'll get you one, hang on.
Good year.
Best we can.
You have something, I got it over there, that's tissue paper.
Let's get you back in.
That's tissue paper.
Yes. About to bring you some.
And it had lots of-
It wasn't hot.
No, it wasn't hot.
I know.
I wasn't paying attention to it. Oh,
You know how to do it?
Yeah. We did.
I see you, you said tissue on my feet, wait.
We